issues.
I want to bring in Marumora Villalpando. What happens to you now? Explain what this means for you as a mother of a U.S. citizen, Josefina Mora. Explain what the Supreme Court decision, how it will affect you.
Thank you. Well, it keeps me the same as I've been in these past 20 years, trying to avoid police, ensuring that my daughter knows everywhere I go, creating a network that will support me in case I get detained and placed in deportation proceedings. So our lives continue pretty much the same, being just the result of these political games. This is what me and millions of parents, and even those that are not parents that are being excluded from DACA and DAPA, will have to continue facing.
And Josefina Mora, as you hear the presidential race proceeding, the arguments over immigration, the refusal of Republicans to act on a comprehensive immigration reform, what's your sense of what you, as a person here in the United States, has to do in the coming months?
Well, I think that it's important. The elections are incredibly important, and I feel lucky that as a U.S. citizen, and it is my first year voting, actually, so I think that it's going to be a tough election year. But I think aside from elections, it is really important to use my privilege as a U.S. citizen to organize my community, not only within the Latino community, but within the white community, because I am surrounded by a lot of white people. I think that especially those who are undocumented have to take this disappointment and turn it into anger. I think that anger needs to show into organizing, into pushing Obama not only to stop deportations, but to really try again in this little time that he has left to do something on immigration, because this is unacceptable. This decision really represents the racism that this country was founded on, and the racism against the president as well, because they are trying to block every action that he is trying to do.
Josefina, you were arrested at a Trump rally in May in Washington State.
I was.
And why were you there protesting? How old are you, by the way?
I'm 18. I just turned 18, so I'll be 19 this year. I participated in that rally because I wanted my community to know that we will not allow bigotry to be in our community. Because it's bigger than the Trump campaign, really. It's just representing a country that's founded on hate, on racism, on the taking of Native people's land. We want to remind people that this land really is the Native people's land, and we shouldn't be having, immigrants shouldn't be having to ask permission for the U.S. government to allow them to stay. Really, it should be the Native people. So our message was make Linden, which is where he was, Coast Salish again, which is the Native people's original name for the land. And so it was really important for me to represent not only as a citizen of this country, but as a daughter of immigrants, that we will not allow bigotry and hatred into our community, and especially a town that was so historically racist.
And I wanted to go back to Thomas Sainz for a moment. The DACA that President Obama first promulgated several years ago in terms of young people brought to this country as undocumented, that was not at all affected by this particular battle that rose up from Texas and went to the Supreme Court and got deadlocked, right?
That's correct. The 2012 Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals remains in place, and those who are eligible really should continue to apply for renewal for new applications. That is still available and is an avenue to obtain work authorization. So far, over 700,000 immigrants have obtained deferred action through DACA, and that should continue. All that was at issue in this case was the new initiative of deferred action for parents of Americans and an expansion of eligibility for the pre-existing DACA initiative.
But Donald Trump, who's the presumptive Republican nominee, has vowed to reverse DACA if he is elected, correct?
Well, that's the problem. Deferred action programs are an exercise of prosecutorial discretion, so any president, this president or his successor, could choose to end deferred action or could choose to limit it in any way, which is why we really need our government to do its job by enacting immigration reform, as we have been expecting for well over a decade. But it's an emblem of the continued dysfunction that we now have not only a Congress that can't act on immigration reform, but a Senate leadership that refuses to act on a nominee to the Supreme Court, and by consequence, a deadlocked Supreme Court on one of the most critical issues facing the country.
I want to thank Marumora and Josefina Villalpando for joining us from Seattle, Washington.